What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike, joined tonight by my good friend and co-host, Austin Deckard, aka Enraged Peacock.
Yo.
As well as our returning special guest, the man himself, Mr. Dragon Turbo, Mitchell Nouse, aka Hydro Pump. What's going on, man?
What's up, Mike and Austin? Thanks for having me back on the podcast.
Of course. We've been looking forward to this one. We had Mitchell on a few years back, and we've been looking for a way to get him back on again. So we've got him here for an hour tonight. So we're going to go over and talk about some cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Enraged. Go ahead and start us off, Enraged.
I'm not going to call you Mitchell. That just seems criminal to me. It's weird. It freaks me out.
It freaks you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, Mitchell. And they're like, there's like another guy that goes to our locals named Mitchell. And they're like, that guy? And I'm like, no, Hydro Pump Mitchell, not that Mitchell.
Well, I know his name is Mitchell. I just, it's weird to me. You know what I mean?
Mike's defense, we've interacted in person.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Several times, so yeah.
I think this is actually our first time actually talking, Hydro, which is kind of cool because I've been in your chats a lot and just talked to you on multiple Discord and stuff. But it's cool to actually have a actual conversation with you.
Yeah, for sure. We've been in the I'm Nerd Discord for a couple years now, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been eliminated from many a tournament from Mr. Hydro Pump.
I was telling the story the other day about how it was me and my friend Austin Wood. We were sitting around, like, I think we were talking about Dragon Turbo, and I was like, oh, how do you like the Hydro Pump build? You know, he was like, it's all right, you know. And then Mitchell was sitting right there.
That guy.
And he was like, I'm Hydro Pump. That was so funny because we were just so flabbergasted.
I think I was playing my match. This was at the Big Boy Gaming tournament, like one of the first ones, I think. And I think I had listened to your guys' podcast video, like one of your first ones, and I just remember Austin was always like, yeah, dude, the Dragon Turbo guy, Dragon Turbo's best deck, and I thought that was funny. And then I saw him I didn't know him in person yet, but I was playing my match against one of your guys' friends, and I was playing Dragon Turbo, and then I won the match, and Austin was standing there watching. I was like, are you the Dragon Turbo guy from the Edison Club? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm Hydro Pump. He just like lost his mind. So,
yeah, that's actually, thanks for refreshing my memory, because that's exactly how it happened. I can still remember the look on his face.
I didn't know how to react. I was like, is this guy gonna cry or something?
At least we weren't standing there like, man, this guy's so much better. We were like, this guy's so much better than Hydro Pump. That guy sucks. That would have been so terrible.
Yeah, so I go to a local in Jacksonville, and I don't know if this one guy was like most of the people know that I'm like Hydro Pump there just because we have like a Discord chat, or not, we have a messenger chat. But one of the guys we're just like talking about like YouTubers or something, and this one guy was like, yeah, and the Hydro Pump guy, like, so I didn't know if he actually knew it was me or like I was just like, yeah, that guy, he's kind of buns, you know. But
that's funny.
Yeah,
man,
that's hilarious. Gotta love the screen names.
Yeah, even like with a couple of my like personal friends, like one of my best friends, like we call him Mouse. Like he has an actual name, but I don't ever call him that real name. And then my other best friend I mentioned on the podcast a couple times, Conway. Conway's his last name, so his first name is different. But I've always just called him like Conway. So it's just, I don't know. Whenever I get like a nickname or I associate with that person, it's what I always call them. But for me, it's always kind of weird because people, it's like a 50-50 shot. They'll either call me Peacock or they'll call me Enraged. Like it's depends on the person, I guess, or usually if they're like, I guess, mad or not. But
yeah, I refer to you as Enraged. I refer to everyone as their screen names, even to like my wife. I'm like, oh, I'm getting on with Enraged and Hydro Pump tonight.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like on the Edison Club, you have to be named Mike or Austin to like join. Almost, it seems like
that is true. That is very true.
Yeah, you guys got like 3 Austins, right?
Yeah, we're up to our 3rd Austin now. Yeah, no more Austins.
We should do a 3v3 team with just the Austins of the Edison Club and see what we can do.
Yeah, sounds like a spinoff.
Mats or like Team Austin.
Man, I wanted so bad. Like, I can't. Obviously, everyone wanted to win, like the Nats Ultimate Time Wizard. But, like, my name being Austin and being in Austin, Texas, I'm like, my name is on the building. Like, this is destined for me. Like, I wanted to so bad, but only can make it to top 8.
You guys can have Steve Austin mats, matching mats.
Oh my god,
man.
yeah, amazing.
I've threatened to Stone Cold Stunner people before, so I'm not afraid.
There's some people that like they just need to be Stone Cold Stunnered one time, and the world would be a better place.
I couldn't agree more.
Gotta give it a go sometime.
Exactly.
So we were talking earlier, Hydro, and you said that you had some old Yu-Gi-Oh stories we want to discuss. So let's go ahead, I guess, start with that portion of it, and then we'll do what we usually do. We get sidetracked and ramble and rant on other things as we have new things pop up as we go along. So what kind of stories do you have in mind you wanted to share?
Let me get my popcorn
Yeah,
here.
I just so you guys usually ask your guests like how you got into Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, and it kind of got me thinking because I was listening to the Ruxin one. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably refresh my mind of like some of these stories. So I wrote some of them down. And,
oh wow!
You guys, I did some homework. So you guys can chime in. These were just things of my memory. But
I'm gonna chime in. You don't worry about it.
I'll just go ahead here. So the way I got into Yu-Gi-Oh was my friend gave me 10 or so cards, and one of them was a creased summon skull that I still have to this day. It's just a common summon skull, but I recognize it because it has this massive crease going across the top of it. So I'm like, that's the OG right there.
That is so cool.
I think it's in one of my binders, but I'll have to pull it out someday and put it in like one of my nice binders. But the way I kind of like got my first structure deck is I scavenged like spare change around my house. Just like essentially stealing change from my parents, and I eventually got $10 worth of change to buy like
dive into the couch cushions and under the bed and every nook and cranny you can find,
the drawers and all that. And I think this was around 2002 or 2003. I got the Kaiba structure deck, so it's kind of like one of the, like the first products I bought.
It all makes sense now.
It's all coming together.
Blue Eyes. I've been playing Blue Eyes this whole time, essentially. So yeah, I was probably 5 or 7 years old at that time. So I'm 28 to give people a perspective about how old I am. And then
I remember when I was 28.
Back in my day. But I had this this OG tin that's like it was like a deck box, but it was like a tin that wraps around your like neck, like it's like a necklace deck box, I guess.
Oh my god, does it have like the characters on it?
It has like Yugi Kaiba on it.
Yeah.
Like it has like a triangle in the middle.
Yeah,
so,
I used to have that. I completely forgot all about those.
I never had that one. I had one that I could put on my belt, like a belt buckle, like how Yugi did, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I never had the necklace one that I can remember.
It wasn't big enough for you to put sleeved cards in, like those big clunky sleeves either.
Yeah,
it's just like you have to put like the raw card in there. It's just big enough for that. But yeah, I still have that tin somewhere. But yeah, that one's really cool. So yeah, I had literally no idea how to play the game, like classic game one, just slapping cards like the show tells you to do. Right. And my reading comprehension was really bad at the time, so I was like, I literally didn't read the cards. I was like looking at the card picture and like, this is what this does. So I was just making stuff up.
I love that.
And, I mean, I can relate to that. I've said it a few times. Like, I think I was in middle school when I finally realized that they're not they're fiend cards. I thought they were friend cards when I read it. I thought it said friend instead of fiend.
Honestly, it's finally clicking with me. Like, I'm destined to be a Yu-Gi-Oh player because I can't read, so it just makes sense.
It really does.
Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read.
Yeah, literally none of us. We have never read a card ever.
Yeah, and so one point, me and my friends all had cards and stuff. We didn't know how to play. We were just slamming stuff. But I really wanted the God cards. But obviously we didn't have them. So like I was like, okay, if I get the God cards, I can just beat my friends, like easy clap. So I had the brilliant idea to print out like card size pictures of the God cards, and then take a glue stick and glue them onto the front of my common cards, and then like
oh man,
I love
obviously my friends would not know. Like, and as soon as I tried to use one, my friend was like, "That's not real." I was like, Dang.
That motherfucker is not real.
Yeah, pretty much. It was an armed ring summoned off V.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So yeah, I got called out there, and I got a couple more here, but kid on the school bus, he wanted to challenge me, just to like. So he had this game that he made up where it's like we have like I don't know 10 or so cards, and we take turns flipping the top card of our deck over, and whoever had the biggest attack won that like individual battle, and then you just kept on going
Oh,
until.
yeah.
That
That
So
was a
this,
big schoolyard game.
yeah, so this is what he was playing, but this is like a Pegasus rule, to be honest. You know, like that it's like a misprint card. It was just like stripes with it was like different
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah, test print.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that. So he had one of those. I thought it was the coolest thing. I never saw that before. And he was like, "All right, this card beats all the cards. Has like infinite attack." I'm like, he's like, he had like a thing. He's like, "All right, whoever wins gets each other's cards, like that person's cards." I was like, I was a little hesitant, but I really wanted that thing. And obviously, there's no way to win for me to win if you
Yeah.
had. So I mean, I was just a kid. So I think I even have a D-Mock at the time too, somehow. So I ended up losing my D-Mock in this battle or exchange.
Oh, man.
Oh man, that's so sad.
Yeah, no.
I have a story similar to that kind of where I remember I was in elementary school and they like took our cards away because we kept like messing with them like in class. So like at the end of the day we could like get them back or whatever. But we had like a regular deck of playing cards, like a two of diamonds and stuff. And instead of playing like war like that, we'd be like, well, this is a mirror force, or like this is a blue eyes.
That's so
And
crazy.
we would play like pretend Yu-Gi-Oh with these cards. Like we were all lost in the sauce at this time. Like it was, I had to been fourth, maybe fifth grade, and we were all mad that they took our cards and we could get them back at the end of the day. So we were doing, I don't remember what the activity was, but it was some like math activity or something. That is why we had like regular like poker cards. But I remember vividly being like, we activated my trap card and it was like a jack of hearts.
I love that. That's like
true imagination.
Yeah, true imagination. You guys really cooked on that one.
Well, yeah, we grew up really poor in the middle of Missouri. There's not a lot to do here. So it's, you either do drugs or use your imagination.
You literally invented
we're on drugs, so
you invented the poker night archetype, literally.
there you go.
Okay,
Did
so
you guys take? Do you ever get your cards taken at school? Like, did the teachers ever confiscate them or anything like that?
no, I did bring cards to school, and my friends would mess with them, but we never got them like taken away. We weren't that reckless.
Well,
with them, I guess.
we weren't bad. We would just be ignoring what they
Yeah.
were saying, kind of looking at the cards. And because like, I remember they used to take my Dragon Ball Z action figures, I would bring and hide in my desk. Because when we got to fifth grade, you got a new like big kid desk where it had like a cubby inside of it where you could keep all your fifth grade like calculators and other additional things. But I'd be in there, I'd be making Vegeta just beat the shit out of Goku or something, and just be sitting there playing, not paying attention. That's probably why I like Yu-Gi-Oh so much, because I probably wasn't paying attention in English. I was too busy making my Dragon Ball Z characters fight and then waiting for my Yu-Gi-Oh cards to get back.
Yeah, I feel like everyone did the same thing, what you're talking about, because I remember like the big boy desk with like the cubby inside, and I would bring like my Marvel superheroes with me to school and play with them in there.
The only time me and my friend would we would trade. I had this one friend in the third grade. We both like cards, so we would trade cards and say, I would look at the card under my hoodie, in class. I would have a hoodie on, but I would shine it right up through my hoodie, have my hand under the hoodie, looking at close to my neck, and just looking looking at it through this little peak of light through the. I was like, wow, this is so cool. I remember that now, but
we really acted as kids that we had real contraband or something. There are probably kids that have drugs nowadays, at that age in class, and we were so scared about our cards. It was so crazy.
Well, if they went you to middle school and high school, they have something else hidden under their shirt.
Yeah.
And then 20-some years later, we're still very protective of our cards.
Yeah, we're still very protective of our Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Except
my cards in the safe.
We use sleeves now.
Yeah.
We've evolved some.
Just throwing around my $400 card,
Yeah, just slamming down unsleeved Ultimate Rare Judgment Dragon.
Yeah.
We were talking about that in the Discord or the group chat last night. I think the most expensive card I have, because I don't have a bunch of high end stuff, but I have an Ulti Stratos, which I think is probably my most expensive card. What would be your most expensive card, Hydro, or your not necessarily most expensive, but probably your favorite card that you have like in your collection?
Well, my most expensive one, I guess, might be I bought a first edition Shadowless Blastoise, but
Ooh,
that's not Yu-Gi-Oh. I got it for like
that's an
I got
expensive.
I got it for like a good deal a couple years back, but it's just something cool I wanted.
Yeah,
So I got it, but I could probably sell it for twice as much as I got it for, so that's nice.
I mean that's something I always like talk to about with any of my like friends, or like even with like my ex girlfriend when she was living there. She never had a problem with me like buying money on cards because she saw like firsthand. Like I'm like, okay, well now we're oh, we got to pay this bill. I'm like, well, these cards have equity. Like I can move these and sell these at any time if we have to. So if I'm paying for this because I enjoy it, I'm spending the premium to have the enjoyment. But then if it gets to a point where I no longer can afford that enjoyment, I can now use that equity to pay something if you have to. So I've always been pretty pro for, if you have the money, spend it, and then if you don't have it, then you can literally turn it around and sell it if you had to.
Yeah, I kind of like I graduated college the year of COVID, and then I got a job shortly after, so that was like my first like real job, I guess. I had like other small like other jobs throughout college, but so I was like, I'm gonna ball out and get some cards I really want and stuff. So
The hell yeah.
What do you do for work, Hydro Pump? I've always wanted to ask, if you don't mind me asking.
so I'm a process engineer, which
That makes
essentially
sense.
like I had like a mechanical engineering degree,
Oh, cool.
bachelor's degree. So I had a mechanical engineering job, but now my title is like process engineer for this current company I work for. So
Oh, okay, very nice.
I just
Yeah,
process work orders so they can manufacture things
yeah, I see.
and build things. So
It's impressive. It really is.
Yeah, very nice. I was always curious. It's like sometimes it's hard to like find a window to ask. Like, do I just message you on a random Tuesday and be like, "Hey, what do you do for work?" By the way, so yeah, that's cool. Always interested to know what my friends do for work.
yeah.
I'm an electrician, and it's
Ooh.
probably the only smart thing I've ever done with my life. I make a
I'm
lot of bad decisions, but that's
I'm
one of the
scared
few
of
things I did.
electricity. So
Bro,
I mean,
I'm scared of electricity too.
it's I kind of always equate it whenever I'm teaching like the younger guys on the crew. Like you got to look at it kind of like a gun or a motorcycle. Like you have to have a fearful respect for it, but you can't be. If you're scared of it, you're probably going to get hurt because you'll be acting not in like a logical, manner. Because there's
Yeah,
plenty of ways. Like you shouldn't be working on something energized most of the time. But if you ever have to, then you want to be under the supervision of someone to, there's a logical thing to it. But the more you understand it, for me, the less I got scared of it. Because, like, with me, it's natural gas scares me because I don't know anything about it. I just know if you smell gas, you're going to die, is like what I was always taught growing up. So, natural gas scares me. Electricity, I understand it. I understand the science of it. I know how it all works. And,
do you know the best way to
smell the
find
gas, you're cooked.
if you smell the gas, like if you smell propane gas, do you know what to do?
called city utilities is what I do.
You light a match. If you blow up, it was gas. If you live, it wasn't.
That's like
That's why I'm scared of it.
that's like the witch hunt thing. Is like, all right, you're gonna walk out into this pond, and if you drown, you weren't a witch, but if you live,
yeah.
you're a witch.
Yeah,
It's over. They're gonna kill you anyways.
yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
I really thought you were gonna do the Monty Python thing, and the Holy Grail, where he's like, if it floats like a duck and it looks like a duck, then it's a witch. Like, I don't know if you guys know that. It's so.
I love
funny.
Monty Python. I've seen that movie way too many times. Yeah, I'm thankful for electricians because without them, yeah, I don't do my own electrical work. At least not much of it. I always say like either I get it right and it works, or I get it wrong and it's not my problem anymore.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing.
All right,
But
back to you, Mitchell. I know you had some more stories to talk about.
Yeah, I got a couple here, just quick ones. So You ever see like those Konami commercials or like Pokemon commercials with like kids playing on a playground with cards and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I had one of those moments where it was like a bunch of kids gather around and me and this kid were like having a duel, no sleeves or anything, just on the playground, actual ground. And, again, I didn't know how to play at the time. So I just go slap Blue Eyes White Dragon down on the field and he's like, "You can't do that." I was like, "Oh, okay. Actually, I gotta go. My mom's calling me." So I just like bailed out.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
You had no contingency plan for that.
Yeah. I was just like, "Oh, you got me."
Do you remember when the Duel Links commercial came out? Did you guys ever see that? It was like these like high school kids sitting at a picnic table, and the one kid's like, with no monsters left on field, I summon Dark Magician. Declare a direct attack for game. I was like, this is what people think we do. Oh no.
Classic.
Oh no.
The amount of times I was sent that video, because like when I was in high school and stuff, like I was like living a double life. Like I kept it a secret. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I didn't want anyone to know. I was all embarrassed and everything like that. And then by 2016, I'm like an actual adult, so I'm like, I don't care anymore. But the amount of people that would send me that clip, like, "This is what you do," I'm like, no, that's nowhere, no, that's not even remotely close to what we actually do. But thank you, I guess, for thinking of me.
Yeah, that's what people think that we do, though. There's a lot more steps to that, though, because like after you play the Dark Magician, your opponent has like gores, and you talk about how you get sacked.
Well, Duel Links only have like 4,000 attack or life or something. It's like,
yeah, I think it's like 4,000. It's like Speed Duel, like basically. I think Speed Duel came from it, like the show. Yeah.
I have arrived.
What up?
Oh, hello. Now we have Radis Lad joining us. He had mentioned earlier that he would be joining in. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now have Radis Lad, aka Ethan Slaughter, joining in on this episode.
Rad.
Hello. Rad, dude.
We were just getting ready to listen to another one of Hydro Pump stories here.
Okay, hit me.
Yeah. So I went through some of the really old school ones, but I think I was around. This was like a point, like I had moved at this point, and I actually met a friend that played Yu-Gi-Oh, and he actually knew how to play, and we would actually have like little like kid locals at our houses and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
On weekends and stuff. So we would have like a bracket and all that. I remember like
Fancy.
This one kid had like a 200 card deck, and we're like, "Bro, you gotta slim it down." He's like, "I don't know what to take out." Like this is.
Oh my gosh! Well, you have 140 cards to pick from.
I have 70 copies of Pot of Greed. I can't take those out.
Can't take this. That's so crazy. What was he carrying this in? Just like a shoebox?
Probably like what that one like YCS or what was it, Shonen Jump thing where they
was like two people carrying it.
Yeah, 1,000 card deck or something.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was 3,330.
My god! When you uploaded I think it was a deck profile of 60 card Lightsworn, and you used that in the thumbnail. That was legendary.
Oh yeah,
that remains like my favorite thumbnail to this day.
That's funny.
That unlocked a funny memory from my local from back in the day. We used to have, when we'd have regionals here in Springfield, we only had them for a little bit. We'd have to go to like Kansas City or St. Louis to like play in regionals. But we had this guy that would come to the Springfield regionals, and everyone called him Kaiba Man because he would like cosplay.
Oh like, my god.
But not good cosplay, but he had like 3 of every single copy of every fusion monster whenever the fusion deck was unlimited, and it would be like a tower. And my good friend Conway, I was mentioning about earlier, he beat him on the bubble because he's like, he comes to every one of these. I'm gonna play. It was a Memory Crusher, I think it was. It's a flip effect where it deals effect damage equal to the amount of monsters in their like fusion deck or something.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And he beat him because of it, because he's like, this guy might be here, so I'm just going to throw it in to be ridiculous. And he did. And he got his like second or third regional top because of it. It was wild.
It's the only time Memory Crusher's ever seen competitive play.
For some reason, I thought it was Fusion Devourer, not Memory Crusher, just because they're so similar.
Yeah.
It's a flip effect that does it. Fusion Devourer is a really cool ulti from an old set. I don't know what it does. And it may not even be Memory Crusher. I could be wrong on the name, but I know it's just a flip effect monster that does X amount for each monster in the fusion deck.
You're making me go to Yugipedia immediately.
That's literally what I pulled up my phone. I'm like, what is this card?
Good thing I
wanna
got
say it
my
was-
third Ojama King in my extra deck.
Memory Crusher. If this card successfully attacks directly, inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each card in their extra deck.
Oh god.
That must have been what it was.
Yeah, it's not.
It
It's
may
not,
not-
it's not a flip effect though. It's just a freaking 3-star fiend dark.
I think it was I think it was a crush card target is why they played it because it was around the time crush card.
It is a crush card. So
That's
that makes
hilarious. I love that and hate that at the same time.
sense. That's like the first time I ever had someone. They used oh my god, they used Soul Exchange and then changed crush card, and I was just like, wait, what? No. You did not just do that to me. But that is how that works, unfortunately.
You imagine
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just playing against somebody and they summon Common Memory Crusher and you're like, oh, this guy's a scrub. I got it. He passes and is like, crush card. Like, oh, no.
SJC crush card.
Yeah,
sorry.
SJC crush card.
Dude, no, I was thinking about this earlier. I've been talking to you guys about doing max priority lights run or whatever, and someone was like, you should just play all commons but with ulti JDs.
Ew.
No,
No.
that is despicable. No.
Stack your JDs.
That's asking for a deck check, buddy.
I know. Speaking of like little kid like stories, like from when we were younger, like for Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know like what you guys your first impression was when you like first watched the anime and stuff, but I always thought that my first impression of what tournaments would be like or like a championship would be like was the funniest thing, because I literally remember telling my mother like, I want to go to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship. They're in these huge like stone towers that like
Oh my
hail
god.
above the sky, and each level, you have like chains attached to your ankles. So every time you take life point damage, it electrocutes you, and you go.
your mom's
If
like
you-
putting the lock on the outside of your bedroom now to make sure you never leave.
If you lose, you get sent to the shadow room for real.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my
good,
god, that's crazy.
You don't understand though. You don't understand though, dude. When I got the freaking Yugi costume for Halloween, my mom literally told me I did not take that shit off for like 4 months. She literally had to like take it off me while I was sleeping, wash it, and put it back on. But that's not even the worst part. I was addicted to wearing the rubber wig that came with it.
Oh my
And
god.
finally, dude, yeah. Can you imagine just being a kid, just like walking around, just like, oh, I wonder why it's so hot in here. I don't know, because I have a fucking.
Your mom was probably like at places with you, and they were like, "Oh, your son's so cute," and she's probably like, "He's not mine."
Literally, dude. She said there was finally one day where I put it on like my bedpost, and I never put it back on again. She was like, "Oh, thank fucking god."
That's kind of sad. That's like
So,
the whole thing about like
ne-
you went out and played with your friends one last time.
You didn't realize the last time?
Yeah. All right, Mitchell. I'm
so
sorry. Let's get back to
the next
you.
event you go to, you have to show up in a Yugi cosplay with like chains on your ankles.
No, you have to wear. You have to wear that Yugi costume you wore as a kid.
Yeah.
If you could find it,
The
bro.
exact,
But
the exact one.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh, this is terrible. I have to make sure I go to an event before Indy, just because I have to make sure it's not Indy that I show up for that, because that's like my birthday week, and I can't live that down, dog.
Yeah, you also should probably wear some stuff under it, or you're gonna like get arrested.
be your birthday costume.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no. a new meaning to the word birthday suit.
I just see you walking in, and it's just like so old, and it's like stretched out, like. Oh my god!
I'd be like, dude,
Glory days.
I'd be like Goob from fucking Meet the Robinsons when he's still in his old fucking baseball clothes when he finds him in the bedroom.
You just like try to sit down to play your round, like the whole like backside just bust open.
Oh my god, no.
Okay, so I got one more story. This is actually kind of a play off what you just said about like what we think tournaments are going to be like as kids. So me and my friend were like actually going to go to our first local. This is like around 2007, I think. And I think we're about like 11 years old. We both show up with no sleeves. We got our dual disc. We're ready to go.
Hell yeah.
And we showed
Oh my God.
we showed this building, and it's just a bunch of grown ass men in a crowded space, and there's like no walking room at all. Just There's I don't know if Mike, you maybe know this local. It's E&E in North Carolina. It's in Rollsville, but you probably haven't been there. But I don't think it's changed one bit. There's like benches outside. People had to play outside and like put quarters on their cards so their cards don't
I
blow
think
away.
Sasha has talked about this place before, and like he said, like cars would drive by and the wind it would like blow their cards off the table.
Yeah,
I've heard of this place in folklore.
There's like the street, the parking lot, and then there's just like you're just playing right there.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of this place before.
How did you lose your DDS Blue Eyes? Well, it was a quarter on it, and then this really fast car drove by, and I never saw it again.
Yeah, outside is fucking insane behavior. I played it like on the floor, like in the aisles of like the local store that we started at whenever I was a little kid. But like that's a lot more feasible because you're just trying to fit a bunch of people. Outside is absurd.
It's just kind of funny because like I remember like old school players that are like Facebook friends now or they might even be in our chats or messenger chats that like went to that local like actively and stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was not what I was expecting showing up with the dual disc.
You're like, this is nothing like Duelist Kingdom.
It's so cool that you did like show up with the dual disc, honestly. Like that makes the story. Like I love that you went through the effort. You were like, oh, this is definitely what's gonna happen. Like the holograms, someone's gonna summon a Hyuzen Ryu on me and I'm gonna get my ass beat. It's gonna be awesome.
Do you want to hear a really quick sad story about dual discs?
Yes.
What?
Me and my cousin begged our parents to get us dual discs for Christmas. So I got the Yugi one, which had like the little button and it would like slide together. You know, it was really cool. And my cousin got they were out of the Yugi one, so he had to get like the Chaos dual disc, which like folded up.
The Orichalcos dual disc.
The Orichalcos. Yeah, he still has it somewhere. But in the Orichalcos one, the little field spell slot that opens was like hollow on the inside for some reason. Like,
that's cool.
It had like,
I know that.
I don't really know how to describe it. It was like, it only had like a little bit of plastic for the card to like lay in there. It wasn't like a solid piece of plastic. So one day he wanted to use the Yugi one. So I said, okay, we'll switch. I'll play the Orichalcos. You can use the Yugi one. And I had an ulti skyscraper that I pulled because I was really into Elemental Heroes as a kid.
Oh, no.
And you can see where this is going. So I like pop open the field spell thing, slam it in there, then slam it shut. And it like, it's like an accordion. It completely creased it like 3 ways, and I was so sad. And we just didn't play with field spells anymore.
Dude, no, can you imagine just like, oh, my field spell zone doesn't work. Can I put my gear town in yours?
Yeah. My gear town in yours is a wild sentence.
I cried. I was so sad. I cried.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Yeah. That's my trauma. That's where everything started. My trust issues.
Konami's consistently not doing their best for years, for over 20 years now. Like first it was the dual discs, now it's quality control. Like,
imagine if they were like, okay, we're bringing it back. Official Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, you have to play with a new dual disc. Like you just
that would be so. What would be the hardest deck to play with a dual disc?
Imagine playing Advance with the dual disc.
Well, yeah, where do you put your extra deck?
For real, you just have it like on your belt, like you
pull it out from behind your back.
You couldn't even play like, I don't know. It would be so hard to try to play advanced format on a dual disc. I feel like that's a really good video segment someone hasn't done yet.
It would be hard to play Goat on a dual disc, let alone modern. It'd be hard to just even play Goat. Like,
what was that modern? What was that modern Lightsworn deck that was like the most broken deck ever?
All tier elements.
Yeah, imagine playing that like on your dual disc. I don't even think that's possible.
I don't think it's possible because eventually, like, you'd have so many cards in your grave, like you couldn't put any more in the graveyard like compartment. It was like completely full.
Yeah, imagine trying to resolve that famous picture from. Yeah, try to imagine resolving the Chain Link 10 tier limit, mirror match like in a new chain.
Yeah,
in a new chain.
You know, another bad thing about those was like the spell and trap card zones where you like slide them in was on like the opposite side that it is on the show. Like in the show, it was
I
like
hate
right
that
at
about
like your arm, but in like the ones you had that were toys, it was on the other side. So you had to
Yeah,
like
like,
awkwardly
reach around.
put your hand, like your whole arm around the dual disc to put them in there.
Yeah. Well, no. Have you seen the replica that they did? It's like $1,000, and it's like a real, like actually heavy dual disc that has everything correct.
No, I haven't seen that.
It came out about like 2 years ago, and it was like a limited release. Like you had to pre-order one and get one right when they put them on the market. Like they're like so hard to find now, but they're really, really, really cool. Like I just it's fucking 200 pounds, so it's like
200
I'm not gonna use
pounds.
that.
God dang.
200 pounds.
I don't think you're
There's
gonna
no,
use it.
there's no way. You're speaking in hyperbole right now. There's no way. 200 pounds.
It's,
Let me look up how much the
it's
actual
made of
Bro,
stainless steel.
You would have to literally be Oja Muscle to use that thing.
Or just be Hydro. You can be Hydro Pump. He's got some big old biceps and his big old curly locks. I think he'd be able to do it.
All right, so they are $523.
I thought you were about to say they were 500 pounds. I'm like, you're going the wrong direction.
No, they're by Bandai. They're almost full scale, and they require 3 AAA batteries. Let me see if there's any.
Are the batteries included?
I have a hard time believing that I would pay
No.
$500 for something that takes AAA batteries. That
I
just
was-
doesn't seem to make me.
I was speaking in hyperbole. It is 7.41 pounds.
Yeah, that sounds
Cool.
much better. Much better.
I love
This
that.
is actually
I love that I'm looking at the description, and it says style anime.
Yeah. Hey, if someone's listening and you have 2 of these, send them to me. We'll make a video. Me versus Hydro Pump, Dragon Turbo
Ooh.
versus Lightsworn. And when I run out of room in the graveyard, I'll just start dropping them, I guess.
That's fun.
Just
That's
slowly
great.
throwing our cards on the ground.
Yeah.
I go
Dude,
to
no
the end
need.
phase and just drop like 20 cards from my hand on the ground.
Yeah, just on the ground.
If you ever try to play Dragon Turbo on Dueling Book, it's really easy because you go activate card to consonants and they go quit and then they just go on to the next game.
Look, let me tell you, just for a second, then we'll get back to Mitchell. Mitchell had this idea for one of Fraser's special tournaments where he was like, why don't we play the game like Convulsion of Nature is active all the time? And I was like, that sounds really fun. I was like, wait a minute. You just want to play Archfiend's Oath in Dragon Turbo and just draw your whole deck.
Oh my god!
You imagine,
Honestly,
like, you just make a Brionic.
Nothing toxic came to mind when I mentioned that, but then you just put that thought in my mind.
I should have kept it to myself. I should.
I was like, actually, this sounds really toxic.
Mind
No,
Crush
there's
is
someone
like
at-
crazy good.
There's someone at my locals who plays Royal Magical Library Archfiend's Oath Burn. Like that's
Ugh.
literally what they play
Yeah,
sounds like
with
a nice
Convulsion
guy.
of Nature.
I do love Convulsion of
Yeah,
Nature.
there is a DB function for Convulsion of Nature. Fun fact.
Yeah, there wasn't way back in the day. If someone played it on Dueling Network, you had to like manually banish every card and then like add from the banish pile
my
every turn.
God. Oh my god, no. I would quit. I know this is rated, but you the reason you have wins is because people don't have time for your shit.
You
That's why-
imagine if you just Convulsion of Nature, you have to banish every card individually. Then when your opponent finishes, you just like MST your own Convulsion of Nature, have to put it all back.
That's kind of like the joke I was trying to make earlier was like whenever I actually was kind of like trying to test Dragon Turbo, like you can't hardly test online because people see you activate card of constants, those fucking quit, and then I'm like, well, what the hell? I'm trying to learn how to play the deck. And,
Yeah.
it was
Is that your
Mostly it was just-
Dragon Turbo experience, Hydro? Whenever you like try to test on Dueling Book,
Honestly, it wasn't that bad.
really?
I get worse experience when people quitting when I played GBs.
Good.
that's fair.
Good.
I'm like, well, that was easy. I just summoned like a Laquari and they just left, so that was cool.
That's me. I hate going against Gladiator Beast so much, dog.
I enjoyed Dragon Turbo for the small amount I played it. I played it in the first 2 Edison locals at my local in 2024. I won both those locals, and I think I lost 2 games across 2 locals.
Nice.
And I quit playing it because I was scared that I would kill my local scene that I've been trying to build up. So I was like, well, we got to kind of put this on the shelf for a little bit.
Yeah, fortunately, I've only
I-
ever had to play against it in person one time.
Once it gets going, it's terrifying. You're just like, oh, prime materials on the board. I can't win.
So it's
Like,
it's a weird flex, but I have hardly ever lost to Dragon Turbo unless it's versus Hydro. Like the average person I've ran into like on ladder or a random like just you know like testing session just randomly, like to my knowledge, I think Hydro's the only one I've really played that like actually knew how to pilot it because he's the creator of it. But because it's not like it's actually a fairly difficult deck to like pilot outside of like the auto win hands. Like if you have like just a mid to like sub mid hand, like there's a lot of like even if you have a really good hand, there's so many lines of play that are possible. And like the more decisions you have, there's more options for you to make the wrong decision. So it usually favor like a better player. But then you also have the things where like I'm gonna discard 6 cards and draw 6 in the end phase. But like playing out of the weird or awkward hands is like it's a pretty challenging thing. Like it's pretty interesting overall.
it's definitely a deck that seems a lot more complicated. Like thinking about it, and then once you learn it, like you can get into the groove of it. But like I've tried to play it so many times, and I'm like stumped. I'm just like, what do I do next?
Hydro, how do you feel about the way Edison has changed lately with like the addition of like Gigavice and the way frogs have kind of evolved into like forks? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty toxic. No, I mean, obviously I like combo decks, in like more tame formats, I guess. Not, I mean, I don't like them in like advanced formats where everyone's just doing it, but going crazy. But I feel like if there's like a good risk versus reward of a combo deck, then it's fun to play. In like I guess a format like this. But anyways, yeah, so it's cool that there's more options. They just might be a little scary to play against sometimes, and Edison, like honestly, those decks aren't really like. I mean, they can kill you the first turn, but like I think the decks have the tools to adjust to those decks over time. And honestly, it takes about 6 months to a year for like if there's like a big like evolution in the Edison meta or just like a shift at all. It takes like a good 6 months to a year for everyone to like adjust to it. I feel
I think
so.
that's pretty correct. I've noticed too. Yeah.
So
I mean,
maybe
I've
people will
seen
stop.
people.
I was just gonna say maybe people will stop playing like deep prisons and play more like Book of Moons or something or Crows in the main deck, just to stop like a combo play and whatnot.
Well, Austin was showing me like a lot of people are literally just maining Lightning Vortex now because like it's the way to go against those decks.
Interesting.
One of the questions I guess I have, how does the Dragon Turbo match up into like Forks and like Giga? Because I know that anytime I like when I'm playing Diva Hero, if I just leave a Strata like a raw Stratos out, I'm terrified if I'm playing against Forks because the Caius is a liability. Because being a Diva Hero player, I'm just constantly always looking for a way to arm Colossal, and they do that like way more efficiently than Diva Hero can. So it's kind of a similar thing, I think, with leaving up a Red Med or like a Blue Eyes with a similar kind of thought pattern. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh, Fortunately for Dragon Turbo, they don't really have to worry about Arm Colossal too much because well, Drago can block the Arm and
That's fair.
Colossal player from being summoned. But if you're, I feel like if you're playing as those kind of decks, you probably just want to kill them in a turn, and they don't really play much of any defense at all. So like, if you just clear their field, then they're probably dead. Which I mean that goes for most decks, but they
Yeah,
don't have
Giga
as
at least
many.
mains. Yeah, Giga at least mains like the Wing Blast to be like some sort
Yeah,
of like defensive. Because that was my thought was I was considering like taking out a Caius and like maining a Vanity's Fiend because I was looking at the like the Forks deck. I'm like I don't, but outside of like exactly flip flop, I don't know how they out a main deck Vanities.
yeah. So as far as like, I guess Dragon Turbo versus Giga, like I don't know, if, like their board is probably really scary for most decks, but like their end board. But I feel like Dragon Turbo might be one of the better decks to deal with that. Like if they make their crazy field turn one, then like dragons against some a bunch of big dudes like Red Mid, Blue Eyes, and it partially take care of that degree.
Yeah, because if they do their whole like iron, not iron chain, the what's his name, power tool thing, then they end on like a stardust for like protection. Like if you're able to like brain their stardust and then banish it for a red med, then you're off to the races. Then basically,
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, both those new decks are pretty scary. But it's a shift in the meta. I feel like so like people are going to adjust because they're scared of this deck. So I mean, there's a change, and we're just kind of waiting and seeing how people adjust to it. So I think it's
yes.
interesting at least to see that happen.
I learned
Yeah, anytime
against
there's a new boogeyman, there's always like a knee jerk reaction. It
Yeah.
seems like from the community, like as you see it like in modern Yu-Gi-Oh a lot more. Anytime there's a new deck, it's oh my god, Yu-Gi-Oh is dying. I see some people kind of wanting to try to make that claim with Edison, but I'm like, Edison's pretty like like it's getting closer to being solved. But I think there's still so many options. Like game one, like you might just have to it'd be kind of accept the fact that it's going to be a hard match if you play in some of those. But the side deck is really what I think will be the big thing, like going forward, obviously, because you play more games side deck than not side deck.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you play,
I like the boogeyman deck. So
if you play Lightsworn
Yeah.
versus Forgs and you randomly hit a wolf during the end phase and you have no battle traps, no Gardna, put that boy in defense mode. I did learn that playing against Enraged in my testing for Orlando because they will colossal arm you into oblivion.
I did it a couple times.
Yeah.
it's really easy
Go-
with that deck.
Going off of what Austin just said about how, like, you know, even though it seems like the format's almost solved, but like something new will always pop up. I actually had a question for you, Hydro.
Yeah.
So not many people have seen this. I know I showed Michael this the other day, and he was just like, "What? You're lying!" But so there was this deck at RBET, the most recent RBET, and I got 5th place by this dude named Majid, and it's like a spellcaster control build with
Yeah,
like
that's all it was.
Arcanite. Dude, what do you think of that? Like, what do you think of the innovativeness of that? The fact that it got 5th out of everything that day.
I mean, it counters these crazy decks to an extent. Like if you go first and you're just like Secret Village, go.
I have
I mean,
Trap Sunset.
yeah, it can be pretty terrifying. I mean, Kaiku's pretty good against Vayu and whatnot. I don't remember like exact texts. I just remember this was a couple years ago, but my friends were getting into just like playing Yu-Gi-Oh or Edison format for fun, just getting into it. And he was playing the same kind of deck where it was just like Secret Village and Kaiku. Like he was playing Solidarity and like he had like breakers and Kaikus that were just huge with Solidarity. I was like, oh, this is actually kind of scary. um, so I think I was playing like Vayu or something. I was like, yeah, that's Kaiku is kind of terrifying. So I mean, I'm not surprised I can do well, and I mean it's like I guess it's an innovation. I think that guy's played that deck before, so he's done well with it. So
Yeah, he
he knows
said
what he's
this was
doing.
like his first like real like top with it.
Yeah.
He said he'd been like pushing for it and just like changing this, that, and the other to the deck. The one thing I noticed about it is it just hard loses to Monarchs. Like there's nothing you
yeah.
can do about Treeborn plus Monarch. Like sorry.
Can I share my story about it? Because I thought it was really funny. I have our chat pulled up, Ethan. He
Go
sent me
for it.
he said, this is what I'm building next. And he sent me that list. I said, I hate this. And then he says, seeing this get 5th ignited my inner kid breaker loving myself. I said, fucking excuse me? And then he goes, bro, what? Like, he thought I was pissed. I said, where? I said, when in the world the fuck did this get 5th? And then he linked me the profile. I was like, sorry for the visceral reaction. What do you mean he got 5th? I said, have you shown Mike? I feel like he would love this. I said, but I hate it.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. I want to see more of that. Like as Edison goes on, I don't even know what hasn't been discovered, but I feel like they've covered most of the ground of things. Like there's some niche things here or there that pop up.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some people playing Trap Eater recently, and I like experimented with it. And I was like, oh, that's a cool out to oppression because it stands for cost. That's nice, but like it doesn't help you like in the moment. I'm not gonna be like a Diva Hero player and be like, yeah, I main to Trap Eater so that I don't fucking lose to oppression, even though they're gonna just chain it to my Miracle Fusion, so it doesn't really help.
Be like, I got good thing I had this Trap Eater in my hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
in actual 2010, sorry, go ahead, Hydro.
I was just gonna say like like we see like little like things change over time. Like going like 2023 going to 2024, we were like, yeah, GBs and X Sabers, what memes? And then here they are just topping tournaments left and right. So I
I
mean,
hate that deck. X-Saber Bellum is the most frustrating card for me to see sitting across from me. I've said it a few times on the podcast. I hate having cards ripped out of my hand. It makes me actually enraged, pun intended.
That was the deck I just never thought would actually pick up in popularity at all in Edison, so I was very surprised.
yeah.
I mean, it's brick sabers. I didn't think it would either. When I see multiple fall troll in my hand and no way to summon them, I'm just like, well, I lose.
If you ever play the DB ladder, like on the weekends, like at 2 a.m, you'll run into it multiple times in a row, and they will have Heavy Storm, Mind Control, Rescue Cat. I'm like, okay, and then you go to the next game, whatever, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go Brain Control, Normal Summon Urbellum, rip the only playable card out of your hand, make the Urbellum guy pass, and then they set the Got him Z call. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Bro, the deck can hear the trauma in your voice, dude.
It's like
It's also funny too, because like whenever I taught my first regional in Edison format, I got that X-Saber mat that has Urbellum and Axel and like the other shitty looking one, and so I think there's like some weird like inner hatred I guess I have for it from getting that. I got a mat, I was so excited, but like the mat before that was like the Light Sworn mat, and I topped with Light Sworn. I didn't get that one. I got the X-Saber one, and like the one after that was the like Blackwing one, which had like Armed Wing on it, looking all cool. So I think it was just a partial of that, like suppressed trauma with the fact is I just hate having cards ripped out of my hand. Like those are my cards. Like
those are my cards. Don't do that.
But the thing is, like GBs and Sabers are probably even better now, like with these more combo decks in the format. So
yeah, I agree.
there's that.
I would hate GB a lot less if they didn't just have a fucking in-engine DD Crow. I hate that I can't leave Mally or Plague in my grave or anything in my grave that could be useful to me because they're just like, scoop.
I was talking with someone on the team recently about I was playing a version of Hero Frog, and I was like, so I'm actually playing the e-call for the e-heroes in it. I'm like, I was thinking about siding because the extra deck is open, so I was thinking about siding a Prisma and a Bestiari. So like, whenever I have my take spells and stuff, I could take their GB, summon or search Prisma, and then summon Prisma, make a Bestiari them back since they won't have the GB to like War Chariot it. I was like, this might be something here, but I also could just be like living the dream. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's actually going to be good or not, but it was a thought because that's like your worst matchup.
It sounds spicy. I like it.
Yeah. So we're getting close to the hour mark here, so we'll kind of start winding down. Mitchell, do you have any other stories that you want to tell before we finish this thing up?
I think I got pretty much everything. I just thought those were funny stories.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed hearing
kind of
this.
Piggybacks from a good segue from like what we were talking about a little bit before the side tangent again. But the question I was going to ask was when we're talking about the dual disc and stuff, like, did you like this is for Hydro or anyone else? Did you ever have like I remember one time like we used to get super into Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I got to a point where I was like all into it. Where I'm like, for Christmas, all I want is like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Did you guys ever go through that where like this birthday I only want Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or this Christmas I only want Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Because I have a story to follow up, a short little story to follow up after that. If you guys ever went through that same thing.
For myself, I always had like other things I like too, and but Yu-Gi-Oh is always in the background. I feel like, but I never really went like always like I would always bug my parents about getting cards when we go to the store or something, but
Yeah,
I never was like I needed only Yu-Gi-Oh stuff for my birthday, or Christmas or whatnot.
I think
it would just be like I get a pack or something, I guess.
I think for me, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh cards and I loved getting them as like a present. I was also juggling like the Naruto CCG at the same time too. And my uncle was always buying me those cards as well. But I think like my biggest like thing that I wanted more than anything else was when I was younger, I didn't really know how the concept of money worked or anything like that. And I saw my mom like taking out a bunch of $100 bills out of the bank, and I was like, "Yo, I want one of those. Go buy my stuff. I want to buy cards. I want to buy something. I want to buy something Yu-Gi-Oh related." And this is back when I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is back when Walmart had that Yu-Gi-Oh stadium for the figures that has like the Millennium Puzzle on it that like opens up and you can like put each monster in its own like respective cage, but then you flip it over and each monster has a place to stand or whatever. It was like a Mattel product. but I
Oh,
wanted one so bad, and they were like 125, $130. And I just started fucking crying. I was just like, "You have so much money, and I could get that with that." And then I opened my eyes, and there were like $200 bills in front of my face. I was like, "Damn, I should do this more."
it worked.
But more than Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I was obsessed with those fucking books at Barnes and Noble, like Egyptology, Dragonology, Wizardology. I fucking loved those things because they reminded me of Yu-Gi-Oh cards because it was like the history and like the mythology of like creatures and etc. So I kind of like related that to it almost. I think that
Oh
was
yeah,
on my
for
like
sure.
low-key obsession with Winged Dragon of Ra probably. But
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of birthdays where I was like, I want Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like I remember my parents getting me this thing from Kmart, and it was like a plastic container. It had like 4 different rows in it. You could put your cards in it. It came with the water structure deck, the fire structure deck, and like just
Oh
some
yeah,
random
yeah, yeah.
packs. And that was awesome. That was like one of my best gifts I ever got. Like I loved that thing. I wish I still had the box. I used it for years.
That's awesome. I was asking about it. So I remember there was it was me and my best friend Mouse I was talking about earlier. He lived next door, and I remember that there was a one Christmas where we both just want Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff. But then I remember it was my 10th birthday was like, you know, it's a big deal. You're turning 10, it's double digits. And I recently had this like memory unlocked for me because I don't remember if I was talking to someone in the like Edison Club or talking to someone and it came up. I remember for my 10th birthday, my mom had gotten into a car wreck and she got like a settlement. And so, like, she's like, you know, it's your 10th birthday. It's a big deal. She had some money. She's like, what do you want? And I wanted so bad at the store we go to for our local, they had all 5 pieces of Exodia up there, and no one bought them because they weren't playable. But I'm like, oh, no one's buying them because they're so rare they can't get it. You know, that was my little kid brain.
Yeah.
But I remember for that birthday, she was like, no, we can't get it. You know, it's too expensive. I'm sorry, blah, blah. And I was like, all sad and crying, you know, whatever. Then, you know, when birthday comes around, I get all my gifts on, open all the packs. I was so excited. Then she's like, well, I have one more thing. And she brings all 5 of them like in the top loader still. I like got so excited. I was crying and I kept those for so long. I remember at one point I still kept them in the top loaders, and one of the top loaders got dirty. So I was changing the top loaders to something else, like another top loader probably. But I remember I knelt down. I was like in my room, and we had that shitty like brown and yellow shag carpet from like the 70s, like in the little rental house we were in.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the card, I guess. And whenever I knelt down with my knee, I creased the right leg of the Exodia, and I had this huge crease for it, and it fucking broke my heart. And then we were talking. I don't remember who I was talking to, but the story came up because I was like, man, I wish I still had those because not for the amount of money they'd be worth because they were like OG first ed, you know, LOB, but like whenever I topped nationals, it was super like a big deal for me because that was the anniversary of the day that my mom died. So like whenever I topped, it was like a full anime, you know, moment in my mind. I'm like, man, I had finally came out here. I got to meet all these people I've known online for years, and then you know it was on that the day I got my top was like the day she would have passed as like the anniversary of it. And then I started thinking about this when I was telling that story. I was like, man, I just got super emotional just remembering like how bad I wanted it and like how much those cards meant to me for so long. And like now at my big age of 32, I was like, man, I just wish I had those cards. It's like because that was so pivotal for my my 10th birthday. Like that was fucking 22 years ago. But like I hadn't thought about that for years. And when someone I was talking to brought that up, and I was like, man, that was just such a huge part like of my life. And the amount of time I spent playing Yu-Gi-Oh and doing this is really like what made us be where we are now. You know, like this game has brought all of us together to be friends, do this, do that. And it's really kind of cool just to see like how much of like individual people's lives have been affected by this game, like one way or another. Overall, if that makes sense, is why I just wanted to bring that story up because we were lost in the sauce as kids, but then like as we got older, you realize it's not only just the cards, it's like just the the whole thing of like community and friendship and that whole kind of like cheesy cliche thing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was a really touching story.
I like to yap.
Yeah, you do. You're very good at it.
It's so weird because like I have similar experience. Like I got the 5 pieces when I was like 6 for Christmas and like a first ed summon skull. I never damaged mine or anything, but I remember walking into my room maybe like 6 months after and they were just gone. And I found out that my mom's ex sold them. So heart broken.
Man.
I can't tell if I would have rather damaged them myself, like he said, like with the crease, or what actually happened to me. But it was definitely heartbreaking. That's for sure.
Man,
the sad Naruto music.
Oh my god, dude! Sorrow and sadness. Sorrow and sadness. Cute
Yeah.
right now. The third Hokage just died. Piece of shit. He's such a bitch.
Yeah, I remember the Christmas before that, whenever Hydro mentioned the test print earlier, that was the first time I ever saw a test print, was Pharaoh Servant had just come out. Because no, that was after that. It was that Christmas, because Pharaoh Servant came out in 2003, I want to say. It may have still been 2002, so it may have been. Either way, that doesn't matter. The point was, the first time I saw someone, my friend, is his birthday, and he pulled a test print out of a Pharaoh Servant pack, and we're like, what the hell is this? We didn't know what it was. They were all just different colors, and looking back, I guarantee with it being like the first first generation from Pharaoh Servant, I think they're usually like reserved for like the secrets and stuff. I guarantee that's probably a small fortune now that I think we probably literally threw it away because we couldn't use it.
October 20th, 2002.
There you go. So I was still 9.
Wow.
I was still 9.
Wow. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about all the time that we have for this one. Does anyone have any closing remarks? Anything they'd like to say before we finish up? Hydro Pump, you want to go first? Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Thanks for having me on. This is fun talking to you guys, as
Of course.
always.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. And I guess shout out to all my, followers and stuff. Just people that watch my content and all that. And
where's that content located at?
On my YouTube channel, Hydro Pump Yu-Gi-Oh. So
his channel is linked in the video description, so make sure you go and check that out.
Yeah. I got a bunch of stuff planned. Edison format, redo format. That's coming up, and shout out to Team Ring of Destruction 2, the homies,
the goats.
Yep.
Actually,
shout out to Marcus and Pudding for the redo format thing too.
Yeah, definitely check that out. I actually reached out to ProStorm today to see if he'd be interested in ever coming on. So might have another Rod member on soon. So that would be a lot of fun.
We've also spoke with Ronak about it too.
Oh yes, yes.
Hard with him being EU, yeah.
Yeah. He is on the books as well.
Ronak is the guy. I love talking.
He's very nice, very nice.
Yeah,
so nice,
super chill.
I first time I ever met him, he helped me find like a Stairway to the Death and Duel, like European Say Are You from that video game. He just straight up sent me like 4 copies for free, even though it was like a $25 card.
Oh wow,
all the way.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's ROG for you though.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was sick.
I actually bought some French Infinity Archings from him recently.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
That's like what I was always going to say was it's nice to meet you finally. Like talk to you, Hydra. We've interacted for a couple years now at this point, but it's nice to actually sit down and have a full on chat with you.
Yeah, about to meet at some event soon.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you, Mitchell. We've never talked before now, but we definitely will in the future, so that'll be cool. You're going to Indy?
Possibly. We'll see how things go.
Cool.
That'd be cool. I'm trying to go to Indy, so that'd be cool to meet you there. I think I gotta try to get my back-to-back Nats top and see if I can keep it going, or if I'm washed. Probably washed. And then the last thing we have to say too is, with it being Hydro Pump, we gotta do the big man Blastoise.
Big man Blastoise. One of Fraser's streams, I was like Blastoise.
There you go.
It's so cringe.
All right, guys. That's all that we've got for you tonight. We do accept fan mail. The email address is TheEdisonClubFanmail@gmail.com. You can find it in all the video descriptions. Always love to hear from the listeners. Enjoy reading the listener letters on the show. So if you have something you want to say, send it in. We really enjoy those. And that's it for this one. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike from the Edison Club signing out until the next one.
Hamster Ryko Caius. I go check the pairings, I'm like, don't know who this guy is. Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. 2-0 every round, man, and I ain't even trying. It's just Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius.